Hi, my name is Nick, and welcome to Phoenix 76 Tech Talk. I am here with my friend,
Mark.
and today we will be talking about interviewing and how to show up when looking at technology jobs. So, Mark, technical interviews in the industry can be rigorous and challenging. So, what are some common types of technical interview questions that candidates can expect to encounter?
Well, that's a great question, Nick. Uh, each company or corporate entity can have different guidelines. Some of them can be just really geared to technical. Some can, with today's culture, it could be DEI. So, and it could just be a gambit of different uh, interview processes and functions that they can go through. But one of the main things they can do is really do their research on the company before they start the interview process. They've already cleared the first hurdle, really is to get an opportunity to interview. Right now, you need to show that value. So, really, your next step is to go out there and do some research on the company. Be prepared, understand what that company's about, and then show them that you really care when you come into the interview process.
Hmm, okay. So, do it. So I am getting seeing where you need to do your homework on the company. Is there any other aspects that you really need to study in order to give yourself the best
Mhm.
shot?
Bring your authentic self.
Hmm.
This is your chance to sell them on you.
Hmm.
When I'm interviewing a person, I always ask them, this is your chance to show us who you are. I want to get to know you. So whether it's a 30-minute interview or 1 hour, I want to I want to make me feel like I've known you for some time, that I've
Hmm.
had a chance to meet with you and we've sat down and had lunch together. That's how I want to feel. I want to really make you feel like you're going to be a part of this team. And you really have to bring your authentic self in there. And to me, that's very important. And I've seen that multiple times when you come in after the interview, people says, "Well, I really didn't get a good vibe. I really didn't feel like you didn't really get to know them." So bring your authentic self. Bring you to the table so that we can actually see more of you in the interview.
Okay. So, could you tell me some of the importance of practicing coding problems or algorithm challenges before technical interviews?
You know, to be truthful with you, if there's a test, they should actually tell you ahead of time that there's going to be a test with coding
Hmm.
or some type of programming skill set. Most of the time, it's emotional intelligence. They want to know you know they're going to ask you questions about your personality.
Hmm.
Who are you? Then as far as coding, if they're going to ask you that, you need to ask ahead of time. Uh, what type of languages should I know how to program in? Coding. What type of how many questions will there be asked? What is a general assessment of what you're looking for with a coder? You know, uh, different types of models and assessments. It could be a different, but it's nothing stopping you from asking those questions before you come in.
Hmm.
So remember, you're in the interview process. You have the right to ask them a question about the interview itself. What are you looking for? So that you can prepare yourself to come in. A lot of times we just take it for granted. I got an interview. I'm just going to show up. The employer will take great knowledge and skill if you ask questions, because you know what? If you ask questions now, that means you'll ask questions later
Hmm.
while you're working for them. So
So,
definitely,
so you're saying this is a two-way interview?
it is. All interviews are two ways. Most of the time, we make it one way
Hmm.
by just showing up. That means that we have given our ability over to someone else and hoping that they're going to read us. First thing, no one reads minds.
Hmm.
No one knows you better than yourself. And thirdly, they won't know self until you bring self to the table. Let me tell you a little bit about me. Here's my background.
All right.
Here's my passion. This is what I thrive in. These are my strengths. Once they know those things, then they can actually say he's a good fit or maybe he's not.
Hmm.
But at least you've run your best self and told them these are the things that I'm successful in. And if you have a position for me in that area, this is what I can do. A lot of times we get a job and we're like, this is not what I wanted. It's what you brought to the table.
Hmm. Very
So
interesting.
control both ways of the conversation.
Okay. So, how can candidates effectively prepare for behavioral questions, and how did they demonstrate those problem-solving abilities and teamwork skills that we sometimes hear interviewers ask?
If you've been in the industry for a while,
Mhm.
you should always have a story.
Mm.
When somebody asks you, tell us a time when this, and you generalize, well, there was a time when, they want to know names. They want to know Bob, Tom. They want to know that the server crashed. They want to know that I deleted a file that affected all of the payroll systems across the country. They don't want generalizations. And if you're new, don't add to the system, to the story of information you don't have. Sometimes saying, I'm looking, explain, I'm looking to do new endeavors. I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to learn. I'm very passionate about this and that I really want to showcase my skill set. I'm willing to be, an understudy. And just be truthful about who you are. When people see that, they're going to be understanding. So s- saying that you don't know is not a negative.
Hmm.
It's a sign of character. That's another behavioral skill. That's a sign of your character when you can actually say, I don't know. That means that before you go off the deep edge with something, you'll stop. Others who, you know, operate in the gray, that means, hey, I don't know. Can I trust them with this system or trust them uh,
Hmm.
with this uh, with this job, not knowing that they may fudge it a little bit. So, like I said, be your authentic self. Just be truthful. And sometimes saying no just means no, and they're not going to hold it against you.
Could seeing somebody not say no be a potential warning sign?
It can be, you know, if someone has all the answers.
Hmm.
I've learned that, hey, uh, just, if they ask me a question, Mark, I'm like, no, I don't know that, or I have no experience with it, but I'm willing to learn.
Hmm.
And if it's something that they say, well, Mark, that should be part of your job requirements. You should know this. Well, potentially, but the employer that I came from, that was not. Remember, from one employer to the next, the requirements are different. Because you do it here doesn't mean that someone else did it elsewhere. So the requirements there won't be the same requirements here at this other job. So don't feel ashamed. Just explain it to them. And they're like, I didn't understand that.
So, Mark, at each step of this whole process, you keep on really hitting on we need to be effective communicators when we are in this interview. So, what kinds of advice do you have for candidates to improve those communication skills for technical interviews?
Well, one of the things you can do is get into the mirror and go over communicating with yourself. Record yourself. If it's, if it's not sounding clear, if it's that you're speaking too fast, you're not pausing, or you sound uncertain, that could be a sign that you're not ready for this interview.
Mm.
Secondly, uh, really have some knowledge about the company. I've already spoken about that earlier, but really hit them that you've taken the time to go and do some research on them. Understand the profit margins, the bottom lines, the culture of the organization, even knowing something about the department that you're applying for. Maybe you had somebody that worked there and they gave you some insight onto it. That can always be a positive, And then finally, this is 30 minutes or 1 hour that could change your life.
Mm.
Bring your A game. You have time to be nervous when you start. This is your time to shine. And come prepared. You need to look dressed, you need to be groomed, you need to be on point. When you come in there, it's time to blow them away. This is your
Okay.
time. Every job that I have interviewed for, I wanted that job. I'm not there for the fun of it. I'm there to get this job. And if I do not, by chance, if I do not get the job, I want them to remember who I am.
Hmm.
in case someone leaves. They go, we don't need to we don't need to interview anybody else. There was a guy that came through here 2 weeks ago. Let's get him in here. You know, I can remove other clientele from the interview process just by my interview presence and leave a lasting impression, presence that they can really come back and say, man, make it difficult for them to choose. I can truly give you an example where I was interviewing for a position in Chicago, and my manager said, "You're just going through the process. They already know who they want.
Hmm.
You're just they're just going through the process, Mark. Didn't care." But then I'm going through the process with them. At the end, I got offered a job. I removed because I brought my authentic self. The person that thought he had the job came in there. He didn't come in there with no suit and jacket on, no tie. He just came in there casual, answered a few questions, walked out, thought he had the job. I showed the passion that I was going to be a game changer for him, opened up a new pathway for me. So you can move hurdles and mountains all about your attitude. Always bring that A attitude into the interview. This is 30 minutes to an hour of your time. Make the best of it.
Okay. So, in addition to your technical proficiency, cultural fit is also important in tech interviews. So, how
Hmm.
can candidates demonstrate their alignment with companies' values and cultures, and what kind of potential questions can candidates ask to tease
Okay.
out what a company's culture might be?
Well, a company might ask, what is the importance of DEI in a company? Well, if you don't know what diversity, equity, inclusion is, that may be a problem. If you work at a company that's very culturally organized, it can be a game changer for you. If that's the first question, because now you're like, oh, I didn't do my research. If they ask you for someone who's not, you know, aware of DEI, how would you influence them? You have to know how to impose culture onto others without insulting them. So you really, when it comes to emotional intelligence, cultural effectiveness, you really have to do your research and your study. You really got to understand this is really a people game.
Hmm.
You're really affecting people, and if your ability to affect people comes from Fox News or CNN, then you really have no emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
The real life world is people get hurt. People do feel a certain way. People can be moved. People have had life stories. And if you tell your life story, they're going to like, oh my God, my son went through the same thing. You've just
Hmm.
made an attachment. But you won't know until you bring your authentic self to the interview.
All right. So, technical interviews often involve collaborative problem-solving sessions or
Hmm.
pair programming exercises. So, how can candidates effectively collaborate on those interviews, and what advice might you offer?
Have a story that details your skill sets. In the summer of '96, I was given a task by my manager to deliver on a project that would save the company $1 million. If I could rewrite an algorithm that would save the company thousands of man hours, how did you
Hmm.
obtain that? Give me details on it. And if it makes sense, I can say, "Oh, you saved them $1 million. Well, you can save me too." Make them want you to. Whoa, you did what? Then you're gonna make me ask another question about you. Well, then why are you leaving?
Hmm. So, I'm
You know.
hearing that you pick your pick your stories and curate your stories ahead of
Hmm.
time.
Yeah, yeah. I you've got to have stories.
Hmm.
One of the worst mistakes you can make in interviews, you've got 20 years of experience. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, I'm a good person. I love to have fun. I love to swim. Uh, I love to go hiking. That's about it. I don't really do a whole lot. You know, you sound boring.
So you're saying they're
You
looking
know,
for three-dimensional individuals.
they're looking for an individual. Not that everybody's a firecracker. Not
Hmm.
everybody's extroverted. You know, but it could be the job. If they're looking for a nose down person that's just going to only raise their head up to breathe, then that might be a unique situation, But uh, my experience is that you bring your authentic self about who you are. Um, you can be a cultural fit or a cultural misfit based off the organization. You may be too dynamic. Maybe they're looking for somebody that's soft and quiet, but but you can ask the questions about that.
All right, Mark. Thanks for everything so far. Last question. What are some key takeaways or best practices that candidates should keep in mind when trying to make that positive impression during that interview?
Uh, Key things is that
Hmm.
don't sell yourself for other roles other than what you're interviewing for. One is uh, don't ask a question of how soon can I transfer out? Red flag. Don't ask can I move into a leadership role and how soon? Means that you're threatening my position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, focus entirely on the role. Make sure you're driving home questions that are going to benefit you. Like it could be as simple as benefits. What are some of the perks of this job? Maybe bonus structure. Uh, growth, not for that, but for my position to say, hey, someone who's been in this position, what has been their trajectory over time? Which lets me know now that you're going to stay a while and really learn it as you go along the pathway. So there are many caveats to it, but the main purpose is stay focused onto the job itself, its career, and how you can benefit the organization. Don't go outside of those questions by asking about other positions within the organization that have no relevance to why you're here today to interview. And that would be my advice.
Okay. Well, Mark, thank you for your time today. This has been amazing. And thank you for watching another episode of Phoenix 76 Tech Talks. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.